Hey class, in this video we are going to publish our website on GitHub. It's pretty straightforward. I'll go over some of the steps and then we'll document our project and publish it on the Open Lab. Yeah, we'll just get started. There's a link to GitHub on the class page for the web. If you go to topics and go to web, you'll see this link here to GitHub. If you've never seen GitHub before, it's a website for publishing code. It's probably, I would guess, the biggest platform for publishing code. Yeah, it's pretty easy to use, and we can publish a website for free, which is the main reason we're going to be using it. So you'll have to create an account. You can go to sign up and go through the steps to sign up. It should be pretty easy. You'll have to put in your email or use your Google account or something like that. If you have any issues, let me know. We can go over it. Should be pretty straightforward. Once I'm just going to go ahead and sign in. And so once you're on your account, it's going to kind of look like this. They refer to like projects as repositories. So a repository is kind of like a collection of things. And so you can see I have like a bunch of different repositories for this class as well as other classes that I teach. Yeah, you can kind of see what the dashboard looks like, and you should have like an account here. And we'll use a couple of the features. There's a lot of features that we're not going to use, but we'll just kind of look at the basics. So once you get logged in, what you're going to want to do is create a new repository. It'll probably be your first repository, and we're going to upload our project files to the repository. So to do that, you're just going to go to create new and go to new repository. And you can give it a name. I'm going to say MMP 100 fall 2025. You can really call it whatever you want, like choose your own adventure story. You could name after the story that you're working on. It doesn't really matter. You are going to have to leave most of these options default. So you want it to be public so that other people will be able to see it. You don't really need to add this stuff. This is more for coding projects. We're not really using this as a coding platform. We're using it more as a publishing platform. So create the repository, and you're going to see this page here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to drag and drop our project onto here. So once we do that, it'll look a little bit different. So what we're going to do is click on this upload an existing file link here. So it's there's different ways to add files here and to update your project, but what we're going to do is just basic drag and drop. So you can click on upload an existing file and you'll see this interface, and we can just drag and drop our project on here. You can also go to choose your files. And so if you do that, you would want to go here and then choose index.html and the story project. One of the things that you want to be careful about here is that you don't want your website to have the web folder in it. So this project and web should look the same. So if you drag the whole, let me get my Finder open. If you do this, if you take this whole web folder and drag it on here, what you're going to end up having is your URL and then web after it. Web is going to be one of the folders. We don't want that. We want web, this folder, to match the website. So what we want to do is just drag all the files inside web into the interface. So you can select all those files. I'm just dragging over it, or you can do it one at a time as well. You can drag index.html over. You can drag story over, and you'll be able to see all those files here. So again, just make sure if you get this wrong, you can always just delete it and start over or change the files or whatever. But what you want is your index.html and then your story folder here. Once you've uploaded those and it looks right, when you commit on GitHub, basically what you're saying is like, these are the changes that I want to add, and you can overwrite the changes. So we'll go over that when we add styles. If you make changes and you want to upload them, you can do that as well. But when you make changes, it actually saves copies of the previous version, so you can always go back and see what you worked on in the past. So we just have to add a name for this. It's called a commit, or it's like saying we commit to this change. So I'm just going to say this is our first commit. So this is just adding our project. I'm going to click commit changes. It's going to process the files for a moment. And now we're going to see our code here. And you can actually look at the code. If I click on index.html, you see our HTML there. And I can look at these other pages as well. And when we make changes, it's going to overwrite those files, but we'll always be able to see the history. So we'll look at that a little bit more next week. For now, we're just going to publish. So right now we've got it online, and we can share this. If I send this URL to someone, they'll be able to look at what I'm looking at here. So they'll be able to see my HTML, and they'll see that what my project is, how it's built. To publish the website, so it looks like the website that we see when we preview it on our computer like this, what we have to do is publish on GitHub Pages. So you go over to settings, and there's a area under settings called pages. So you're just going to click on that, and then build and deploy. What you're going to do is say deploy from a branch. You're going to change the branch to main. And that's it. You just click save. And this is going to take a minute to 2 minutes. But it's going to build your website, and then you'll be able to see it online. Let's see if it's already started. So if you want to see that happening, you can go to actions, and you can see it's building the website right here. And so while this is going, the website's not going to be live. But this is going to take maybe a minute, maybe a little longer, depending on how big your website is, various factors. But it won't take very long. So I'll pause a second. Or no, it's actually already... Oh no, it's not quite done. I'll pause a second and we'll come back. All right, so it's done with the process. You can see the build took 20 seconds, the report took 4 seconds, the deploy took 9 seconds, and now we have a link here where we see our website. So this website is online. Notice that this URL starts with HTTP rather than over here, it starts with file. So this is actually on the internet. I can send this to anyone in the world, and they can see my website, and they can click on my links and interact with my story. And so that's basically what we want to do for this part of the assignment. Now that we've got this set up, we just want to publish, or we just want to document on the Open Lab. So to do that, what I want to do is just put a screenshot of my project on the Open Lab, and then a link to the page, and then as usual, a short description. So I'm going to go back to the Open Lab and create a new post. And this is going to be our website first draft. Let me hide myself for a moment. So for our categories, we're going to choose website and weekly blog post. And then we want to make a couple images here to show off our website. So there's a few different ways to do this. If you're on Mac, you can see the website here. It's pretty small. So what you might want to do, I'm going to come back for a minute. If I drag this guy out, I'm just going to make this window a little bit smaller. And so that way we don't have to screenshot this big empty window. And I'll show you guys a way on the Mac to screenshot this window. You can do this on Windows as well. You can use the snip tool on Windows. There's also the Xbox game bar. I recommend either one of those. It's very easy to do, or find a tutorial to do that. But if you're on Windows and you want help taking screenshots, let me know. We can go over it in office hours, or I'll send you a video that goes over it. I'm just going to take a couple screenshots. So on the Mac, if you want to take a screenshot, you can use the screenshot tool, which you can access by hitting Command Shift and 4, and that'll bring up this little target thing. You may have done that before. You can also just go to your Spotlight and type in screenshot, and it'll bring up the screenshot tool. And so the screenshot tool gives you a few more options, like you can choose a window or a portion of the window. And so if I do window and then I click on this little window, it's actually going to make a screenshot of that window. And I'm blocking it right now. You can see it down here. And it'll put that in my desktop. So I'm going to just move that over. And if I go to my computer and look for my desktop, you'll see that screenshot right there. And so I want to get all of my pages. So I'm going to go to this page. I'm going to open screenshot, and I'm going to do that again. And I'll just ignore this. And then I'll go to animator. Okay. So I've got 3 screenshots of my website. You can also use the regular screenshot where you like draw a box over it. Really, however you want to do it. I like doing it that way because it just kind of looks really clean when you just have the document by itself. And Apple also adds this kind of nice little like shadow behind it, so it makes it kind of like pop out a little bit. You can get rid of that if you want by holding Option when you take the screenshot, but however you want to do it is fine. So now we've got some documentation of this website. It doesn't look that exciting, but it does exist, so that's cool. So let's just go ahead and add these images into our post. And I'm not going to bother like saving these because they're going to be on the OpenLab page, but you could save these in a folder if you want to make sure you don't lose them. So we've got our screenshots of our website. Looks pretty good. We can say, here is my website draft. I am telling a story about the MMP 100 course and choosing what type of multimedia you want to create. So just give us a short summary of the concept for your story. It can really be about whatever you want. It doesn't have to be about our class, obviously. That's just the example. Just any type of story that you might want to tell. For Choose Your Own Adventure, it's good to have a story with like choices. So that's the only thing I would kind of recommend. And then we just want to add a link to the project. So I'm going to go to the home page and copy the URL from here. So I'll write, here's the website. And then I also want to link to the code, just to kind of show that I understand the difference between the two. So I'll say, here's the code, and I'll link to the GitHub page. So I'm just going to the GitHub page and copying the main URL up here. And so that's pretty much it. That's everything I want to show for this OpenLab post. This is just our draft, so we still have a lot to add with styling and media. And so there we go. There's pretty decent documentation. So I'll just publish this. And for Brightspace, just submit the link. I don't need your files, because if you publish it on GitHub, I can go look at your HTML on GitHub. That'll give me a chance to give you feedback and see what you worked on. So I don't need the files for this particular project. So I'm going to copy this. I don't have Brightspace open. Hopefully I'll be able to log in quickly. Okay, let's go to MMP 100. I'll go to Learner View. And so this is one of our blog assignments. So if you go to assignments, this is going to be simple website. And take a look at the rubric. And then when you're ready, just paste in your OpenLab link and click submit. So that's it for this draft of the website. As I mentioned, next week we'll add some CSS styling. So we'll make it look a little bit better. You can add to the story. And then for our final week, we're going to add media. That part is optional, so you can add images or audio if you want to, but you don't need to, so that's kind of up to you. I'll go over it because you may want to add some images to illustrate the story. But you can also just focus on making your HTML documents and your story. So that's it for this week. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys in the next video.